This bonus pod is brought to you by Starting Lineup Uniforms and Apparel. Support their Movember initiative and pick up one of their custom Movember hockey jerseys at startinglineupuniforms.com. Proceeds will go back to the Movember Foundation. And don't forget to retweet anything we tweet out on Twitter during the month of Movember. One lucky follower will win their very own Movember Hockey Dummies 69er jersey. Follow us on Twitter at Hockey Dummies. Welcome to the episode 8 bonus pod. I'll be Han Solo here without Pat's telling me to fuck off and what to do, so this might be a little bit more enjoyable for me anyways. As you're well aware, we're strong advocates for mental health awareness. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I've been pretty open about that. And I'm not going to lie, the audio, when it crapped out on us for episode 8, caused my anxiety to go through the roof. So I need to redeem myself here with my audio engineering skills that I'm kind of learning what to do on the fly. Those with anxiety will know exactly what I'm going through. So thanks for the support in this. For the bonus pod here, I'm going to chat about the OHL versus Russia game that the Whale and I went to last night, Monday, November 12th in Oshawa. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in our fantasy league, just because the boys in the pod, the boys from the league listening to the pod, they want a little bit extra love. So I want to throw that their way. And just to talk a little bit about what's going on in our social media platforms, and maybe give you guys a kind of heads up on what different guests we're going to have over the next couple of weeks. But before I dip into that, I want to give a big shout out to the Bring Back the Royals Facebook group. They've been giving us some love, so we want to let them know how much we appreciate it and that they've been giving the pod a big shout out. So we want to help them and support Bring Back the Cornwall Royals. So if you want to help them out, go to their Facebook group, give them a like, give them a little bit of support. Bring back the Royals. So, as I said, the Whale and I, we took in the Team OHL versus Russia game last night. We were rubbing elbows with the likes of Kyle Dubas and Mark Bergevin. Not that we actually talked to them or anything. We just kind of stood behind people and took photos of them. But it was pretty cool to be in the same vicinity as those guys, the big boys. And we met Jordan Cooey's family. And I have to say that his sister is smoking hot. Like I'm assuming that was his sister and Tommy Likey. Moving off hot sisters and focusing more on the game that we actually went to go watch. The OHL came out really good in the first 5-10 minutes of the game. OHL was buzzing. They were swarming the Russian zone. They were starting to get a couple of chances, but literally like about the 10-minute mark of the first period, once Russia got their first goal, things just kind of slowly started tilting the other way, and Hunter Jones let in like a harmless dump in from like the blue line, just outside the blue line. And the thing is I was watching. I think it was Stanika was going to check the guy dumping it in. I was watching him to finish the check, and all of a sudden the Russian kids are cheering, and I looked down, and it's like the puck was in the net. I didn't even see it. It was the most harmless goal, and like I tweeted out, like Hunter Jones. He didn't look like Hunter Jones. That's for sure. Like thinking about what Matt McGuffin said last week about scouting and watching players, like Jones's body language, it wasn't good. Like you could tell, like he was like, I don't know if it was like all the GMs and all the scouts in the crowd. It's a big moment. He's a 2019 draft pick. They could have went with somebody a little bit more senior. I'm going to kind of get into that in a second, but his body language just wasn't good, and his rebound control, his puck handling of the puck, and just playing the puck. He let in another stinker, not as bad as that first one, but it just kind of led me to believe that he just wasn't mentally prepared for this big game, or he was overthinking it. But I've watched him play in multiple games this year. This is the third or fourth game that I've watched him play live, and he did not look like the other player. I was saying to the Whale that he reminds me how calm and poised he is like not that he's Carey Price, but that type of realm of character, and he was the complete opposite of that. Like, he's usually always calm, cool, collective, and he wasn't that game. So you know what? It's one game. I'm going to chalk it up to the fact that maybe he just wasn't mentally prepared for that. But and that's what's good about the OHL and bringing these young kids in is Hunter Jones, he can be that goalie in 2 more years. He's 2 years ahead of his time here, so when we really need him in a couple of years, he's going to be prepared for that. And I think whatever NHL team drafts him, the OHL did him a good service on putting him in that game to really, it's going to be like either shit or get off the pot, sink or swim. And I think Hunter Jones is the kind of character that he'll end up swimming and taking that shit. So a couple other youngsters that were in the game for the OHL were Thomas Harley of Mississauga and Nick Suzuki of the Barrie Colts. So again, like just the whole development side of it, I think the OHL did a good job by bringing these youngsters in and trying to kind of show them the ropes and teach them so that when they come in and next year and there's other new kids, or like 2 years from now and there's other new kids, that these guys can kind of be the more veterans in the room. They've played those games and they've been in these situations. And trust me, this 4-0 loss to Russia was a big learning lesson. So I think that was a good service done by the OHL. Personally, I think they maybe should have done that with a couple other kids, or even like somebody like Mackenzie Entwistle that was in there. I'm not a huge Entwistle fan. I know I've said this in the past, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. Like, Mackenzie Entwistle is 1,000 times better than me. Like, I'm not an athlete at all, but I love the sport and I like to talk about it. And so we're watching the game, and I literally nudge the whale, and I say to him, I'm like, listen, I'm like, see Entwistle out there? I'm like, I guarantee you that he'll have a dumb penalty before this game's over. Literally 20 seconds after, he went after a guy and took a penalty, and he shouldn't have. Now, the one thing that I can say about Entwistle that makes him effective is the fact that he is kind of an in-your-face, hard-nosed, tough competitor. Like, this guy competes. And he didn't compete this game. Like, I don't know if it was after he took that penalty, the coach is sitting him down saying, listen, don't do this. Like, I'm just speculating there. But he wasn't effective. And the fact is that physically we got outmanned. Like, actually, it's funny, the smallest guy on the team, Ryan Merkley, probably laid the biggest check for us. But in terms of like the entire overall game, winning puck battles, pushing guys off the puck, getting to the puck first, just kind of using their body, and even engaging in more physical play and hits, it was Russia. Russia was all over us. And even, even the Russian crowd was better. Like, there was like a little section where it was like all the Russian fans were cheering, and it was like they were cheering throughout the whole game. And the only time that the Canadian fans would cheer, the OHL fans would cheer, was when the Russian fans started cheering to try to out cheer them. So even we got beat in the stands and we got beat in the ice. We got just fucking mopped. But yeah, give it to Russia. They were definitely the ones to win that one. Another player that stood out to me, and the whale, he was gonna harpoon me if I didn't bring this guy up. Owen Tippett. Didn't like Owen Tippett out there. He was felt like he was a step behind everybody. He was out on a line with Barrett Hayton and Alex Formanton on OHL's top line. Like, they should have been dominating out there. And the truth is, and I think anybody that watched this game could say, OHL could make a pass. All of their passes were either behind them, in their feet, too far ahead of them. It's just, they weren't clicking. Like, I don't know if they even had a practice and be like on the game, the day of the game. But man, like, they totally looked off. And Owen Tippett, he was just a non-factor out there. He wasn't engaged physically. He didn't really look anything special defensively. He definitely wasn't getting up into the play and doing anything offensively. Like, for a first-round pick, I don't like that pick. But let me read off the roster that we had here. For the Team OHL, in net they had Hunter Jones, and the backup was Jordan has a hot sister Cooey. Ryan Merkley on defense with Giovanni Velati. He's an Oshawa General kid and Winnipeg Jet prospect. And I call him the OHL version of Jake Gardner because he looks exactly like Gardner when he skates. Marcus Phillips, who I really like from Owen Sound, LA Kings prospect. Declan Chisholm from Peterborough, another Jets prospect. And Thomas Harley, the young kid, 2019 draft eligible. And big Kevin Ball from the Ottawa 67s and Arizona Coyotes draft pick. So that was our D. Up front, I'm looking at these guys. They're all like first, second round draft picks. We have Ryan McLeod, Edmonton prospect. We had Owen Tippett from Florida. We had, Ryan Suzuki is a 2019 draft eligible. We had Ty Dellandrea, first rounder from Dallas. We had Barrett Hayden, first rounder from Arizona. Jack Studnicka, who was a second rounder to Boston. Liam Foudy, who looked good as well, from first rounder to Columbus. We had Nate Schnarr, Arizona Coyote draft pick. Alex Formanton, who is a Ottawa Senators pick. We had Sarah Noel, who's a Florida Panther second rounder, and we have undrafted Austin Keaton, who's lighting it up in the O right now. Like we had a good team, and we just couldn't generate. The truth is the Russian defensive game, man. Like if OHL got it into their zone, they boxed out that center ice just dot to dot. It was just like you weren't getting in, and if they were able to kind of bump the puck loose, and all of a sudden it was like even like a 60-40 puck, like they were losing 60-40 pucks, and it just wasn't good enough. The effort just wasn't there, and I was surprised by just like all of those high draft picks, right? Like everybody was, other than Keating, who's actually having a great year, and the 2019 kids, everyone's like a first or second round pick. On Russia, I'll butcher these names if I get into them, but they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they had 9 kids that were drafted into the NHL, and a couple of them look really good. I really liked Daniel Zuralev, Colorado Avalanche defender. I liked Dmitry Samakurov, an Edmonton Oilers defenseman, and I liked Krill Slepets, an undrafted kid who just had some serious jam and good finish. Like I really liked watching those guys. But kind of moving back over to the Team OHL, kind of more of the players that we know anyways. I know anyways. The best player by a mile on Team OHL was Ryan Merkley. Merkley controlled the play. Everything went through him. He was just orchestrating the play. It was like people were looking for him even when they probably shouldn't have. That's probably one thing. The right play was to do something else, but these guys are looking for Merkley to start orchestrating the play. He controlled it when he was out there. He laid big hits. He wasn't afraid to get in your face. His skating was phenomenal. He hit the post. He just looked like it was effortless for him out there. It's but he also had a little bit of jam. Like he had more jam than some of the other guys. So, you hear all this stuff about in the locker room, man. Like if that stuff comes, like, man, I see what Doug Wilson saw. I see why he took him where he took him. I remember in our draft, I drafted 17th, and I was, and like forwards always go a lot higher in our fantasy drafts. Just to me, I build around my forwards and goaltending. Defense, I always end up doing last. You get a couple of studs back there, but that's just the way I build my teams. But I wanted Merkley bad. I really wanted him, and I even want him more now that I've watched him play live. But I ended up with Ty Smith, which is a pretty damn good pick at number 17. But I did want Merkley, and if he was there, I would have went Merkley. So I'm really looking forward to watching him develop. A couple other more of the notable mentions that I liked from their game for the Team OHL was Sens prospect Alex Formanton and Columbus Blue Jacket prospect Liam Foudy. Both these guys, their speed and their anticipation of the puck and the play, incredible. Like by far the best skaters on our team with Merkley. They really stood out for that effect. So I didn't know much about Liam Foudy, and I think Columbus Blue Jacket fans, you guys, I think you guys got a good one. I think the Sens fans know that they already have a good one in Formanton, but Foudy, I think he's going to be a good one there. On defense, my boy, who I just picked up in our league, Marcus Phillips, man, a 4th round pick from the LA Kings. By far the second best defenseman on our team, better than all of the, like, other than Merkley. He stood out. He was by far the man. He had some jam to him. He can penalty kill. He could go on the power play, and he actually kind of reminded me of a younger version of Dan Boyle out there. Just like the way he skates, his physicality, but he can also kind of jump up into the play. I liked him, man. So I went and checked out the old waiver wire in my league. Picked him up. So if you guys have deep leagues and you guys have prospects, pick them up. Pick them up. So I talked a little bit about a couple of the guys that I like, but that Colorado defenseman, Zukarev, he had a great first pass coming out of the zone. Like, he hit the guy tape to tape. Like, I kind of wish he was on Team OHL to make a good pass. And then the Samorukov from Edmonton, he was just solid. He was just kind of seemed like he was just steady. Just, you weren't getting past him. And the other guy was Slepitz, the winger. The goal that he scored was incredible. Like, and it's funny, like, a couple plays before, like, I don't know, a couple shifts, the puck followed him around. He made this one pass coming into the zone where he got the trailer late and just put it right on his tape, and just, you could just see the guy gliding into the net, and it was like, fuck, here comes another one. And then it didn't. But then on his next shift, you could see the anticipation on him watching the play develop in the far corner behind the net. And as soon as he realized that his defender had it, even before he had it, he blew the zone. Not really like he knew. It was like he knew. And I was watching the play too, and I was watching him. And as soon as he realized that his defenseman was going to have the puck, he went. And his defenseman hit him with a great pass. He went down on 2-on-1, took a beautiful shot, picked up the rebound while falling and roofed it. Like, it was just, it was a great second effort. It was great hands. It was a great finish. I was just really impressed by him on those, on those couple of shifts. You only get a couple of shifts with these guys each period, but he really, really stood out to me in that third period. So that was kind of my 2 cents on that game and those players. At the end of the day, Canada, OHL, they just couldn't get in any prime scoring chances, and when they did, they couldn't convert it. So, like I said, that's just my 2 cents on that game. So, if you guys watched it or were at the game, I would love to hear your feedback and what you thought. I just love talking prospects, OHL, CHL hockey. I can love it. I love the World Juniors Christmas time together. Forget about it. So let's move over to my fantasy league and give the guys in my FCHL something excited to talk about. Right now, we have 3 teams that are literally just dominating. And not only are they dominating in terms of the standings, but they're also dominating in terms of the power ranking. The power ranking is all of the stats across the board. So sometimes, you might end up playing a team where you could be really good, but you end up playing one team that's just really good one week. All their players hit, but usually they're a shitty team, and it's going to average out for them. So this is kind of like the averaging out is our power ranking. So it means something, but it doesn't mean anything either, because you still need to win. But anyways, right now our top teams in terms of record with perfect 5-0 are the Cleveland Barons, the champ Dallas Dave, and the Philadelphia Quakers, my arch nemesis. Moving down, because they have 10 points, and then there's a group of team that have 6, which is fucking Pats. Pats has 6 points. Rangers, Pens, Habs, Knights, and Jets are all knotted up at 6s. The Pirates is on an island with 10th with 5 points, and then we have the Nords, Maroon Scouts, Thrashers, and Flames and Whale. Each have 4 points. And then yours truly, I'm all alone in 17th with 3 points. And then the Seals and Vancouver, the Seals have 2 points, and Vancouver and the Wanderers without a win. So they have zilch. But like I was saying with the power rankings, the team that is kind of most out of sorts is actually my team. I'm ranked 6th in the entire power ranking. Meanwhile, I'm 17th in the league. And I'm first in skaters. So my skaters are the best in the entire fantasy league, but my goalies are literally last, 20th. So that's kind of where I'm getting fucked. And if you guys haven't listened before, my goalies are Jonathan Quick, who's done for the season, and Tuukka Rask, who's out on fucking bail or something. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. So those are my goalies, and then I have like Phoenix Copley, who's on my farm. I can bring him up for spot starts for Washington, but that's not going to cut it. So I'm losing based on the fact that I'm not getting goalie starts, and it's killing me. It's so early in the season, and I'm already fucking done, right? So it's kind of deflating, but I'm focusing on next year, and I'm going to start looking ahead. Excuse me, still getting over my cold. I'm going to continue to look forward, look ahead, and try to make some strong plays down the road. Also coming in at a high power ranking and low standings is the Whale. The Whale, he's down in, I guess, tied for 11th with a bunch of teams, but he's sitting 7th in the power ranking, which means he's had some unfavorable matchups to start. And somebody on the opposite end of that is having some favorable matchups is Pirate Paul. He's in 10th, but he's 15th in the power ranking. So, he's been playing some weaker opponents for the first couple of weeks. But, that's what the power rankings tell you. It's our analytics. That shit evens out. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that and seeing if Pirate Paul dips and the Whale rises. So, and 1, 2, 3 in the power rankings are fucking the 3 undefeated teams. So those guys are legit. Those guys are legit contenders. But the 2 other guys that I have to talk about, one unfortunately is my co-host who isn't here today, the Pats, and Slats, the New York Rangers, they're sitting in fourth. Slats is in 4th, Pats is in 5th. Kathy the psychic quoted that the New York Rangers, our boy Slats, will win it this year. So, just wonder if he's in it enough to trade for Mark Giordano. I have Giordano on my block. He's got the cap. He's got the right prospects and pieces. If he really wants it, he really wants to go for it. You want to take like one of the top 5 defensemen in the league and win your championship. Is it worth it, Slats? Is it worth it, buddy? Are you going to be able to do it? Or are you going to be a bitch? I'm calling bitch. But Pat's, on the other hand, well, he just trades all of his good players for future. So I don't know if he's ever going to win just because he keeps fucking rebuilding and then making these mega teams and then rebuilding again. Like, he just traded Austin Matthews in our league. Like, everybody's red chatting and chirping him behind his back and to his face. Trust me, as you guys are well aware, I chirp him pretty hard to his face. But he traded Austin Matthews for 3 first-round draft picks, Julian Gauthier, Kasperi Kapanen, Jack Wise, and Jack Roslovic. Does that sound like somebody who's actually going to try to win this year? To me, that sounds like a flip-flopper. He doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what he wants, and if he does know what he wants, it's wrong. So, good one on the Whale for harpooning him that. And apparently, Quakers was going to offer him Draisaitl and Gensel and something else just before he accepted that deal, which I'd probably rather have Draisaitl and Gensel and whatever else he was going to throw in there. But anywho, that's not for me to harp on too much. But yeah, I wouldn't be trading Matthews. No way. In my world, in our league, like I said, the fact that I have Jonathan Quick and Tuukka Rask as my tendies is pretty much means my season's done. I finally got my first W last week against Slats, who Kathy said will be winning. So suck it. Maybe if you did trade me for Giordano, you would have beaten me. Probably not, but still, we have my record is 1-3-1. But I'm still ahead of Seals, Wanderers, and Vancouver without having any goalies. So shame on the 3 of you guys. Excuse me. Like I said before in our first episode, we run a 20-team league. We have 2 conferences where the top 7 teams in each conference make the playoffs. So I'm currently one of the teams looking outside of the dance with my nose pressed up to the window, looking to get in. But I really don't think I'm getting in there this year unless Tuukka Rask really pulls it around and maybe Braden Holtby gets hurt. Even if Tuukka Rask is just the starter, I at least have a chance because my skaters are so good. But Tuukka, I need you. Get your shit together, would you? And trying to trade for a goalie in our league is pretty much ridiculous. I got offered Chad Johnson for Jack Roslovic, a second, which is like an NHL first, and because we only have 20 teams, right? And Alexia from Washington. But it's like, do I want to trade all of these futures for Chad Johnson? Like, Chad Johnson's not going to save my season, in my opinion, anyways. Like, he has been on a bit of a heater, and in the episode we told you to pack him up, but I'm not telling you to trade a bunch of good shit for him. So I had to decline on that one. So I don't know, if something else comes along, I will definitely look into it, but I'm not moving all of that to get a shitty goalie, just in hopes to try to, save my season or whatever. Like, I would rather just shut it down like the LA Kings are doing in the NHL and just kind of retool. And I just wish that I had my first round pick. I'm always really good. I'm usually, anywhere between 4th and picking like 16th to like 20th because I'm always either in the final or the final 4. So I always move my first rounders because they're usually not good first round picks. Well, this year it's probably going to be a pretty good pick, so I think Seals has it, so enjoy my pick, you piece of shit. We are a cap league, and I keep a budget that spans over 3 seasons that I've created in Excel, so I always know from year to like my next year and the year after how much I've already committed to and how much I have left to spend. So I always know what my team is going to look like from year to year. If anybody actually wants it, I'm happy to just send us a tweet at Hockey Dummies, and I can send you a copy if you want to use it for your league. Next season for my team, like we have a 25-man NHL team, and then we have a 25-man farm team. There's 20 teams, so that's 1,000 players off the board. So it's a pretty deep league. I'm sure there's ones that are deeper, but it's good enough for us. Next season, I have 20 guys signed. I have 4 RFAs, and I have 1 UFA, and I only have $8 million left in cap. So my UFA is of Joe Pavelski. So you got to think he's at least going to be getting like Blake Wheeler money. He's making 6 now. You got to think he's going to be somewhere between 8 and 9. So he's going up $2 to $3 million at least. My RFAs are Kyle Connor, Charlie McAvoy, who are both going to get big money, in my opinion. And then I have Jakub Vrana and Nikolai Goldobin, who I think are going to be on like the lower end of it. But still, like they're going to be going up, so I need to compensate for that. So, like I said, with my team kind of being shitty, not my team, not my skaters, but my goalies, I'm losing out on five categories a week. So I'm compensating. So like I have a couple guys that I could move. One of them, like I was talking about, trying to trade with Slats, is Mark Giordano. Giordano is like one of the top players in our league. He's does everything across the board. He's a plus player. He blocks a ton of shots. He logs a ton of ice. He gets power play points like the 9s. He's a great player to have in your league. And now Slats has the cap, and he's got the assets to make that move. Giordano making 6.75. He is somebody that, and the knock on him in our league is always, well, he's so old. People have been telling me how old Mark Giordano is for the last 4 years in this league. And he still continues to put up. And you know what? I've made a lot of really hard moves. I've moved so many good prospects and so many good picks in this league because I want to win the championship. I want the bragging rights. I want the cup. We do a cup in our pool. We, there's 20 grown men. We have vice presidents of corporations, and we're all playing for this fucking trophy. Like, it's hilarious. It's something out of the league on FX. Just hockey, and there's more of us. But it's, you have to make the big moves to win. You have to have the guys on the ELC contracts that are doing well. You have to have goalies that are playing well. You have to have your mid-tier guys playing well. You have to have your superstars have to be superstars. To win, you have to have everybody clicking. I've won one championship. Quakers are only two-time champion. Dallas Dave is our current champion, and the Whale won it the year before. So, these guys, if you want to win, if you really want to do it, you gotta push your chips all in. You have to move those first-round picks. You got to move those prospects, or else you're just going to be kind of in limbo. You're going to be like the Jets. Jets is. I've been telling him for like 3 years. You got to move Ovechkin, man. Like, you're never going to win with this team. He's always in the middle, always. And that's not for me. I'm either not like bottoming out, but you got to retool. If you move Ovi, 2-3 years ago, you're getting a fucking shit ton for him. You need to bring back, those 3 or 4 assets and hit on what you're picking with and which prospects you're asking to bring back. So, Giordano is one of my guys that I can move. He's $6.75 million. So if I end up moving him this year, where if I was going for it, I wouldn't be moving Giordano. But because I don't think I'm going to win this year, and I feel like I can, capitalize on the fact that he is killing it and he is one of the best defensemen, and that these teams that are going for it, every team in the league could use Mark Giordano on their team. So if you have the cap and you're willing to sack up and you want to fucking win, then go for it. I'm here. Send me an offer. The other guy that I have on my team who's very cap friendly right now, and again, another guy, if I was going for it, I wouldn't be trading him because he's only $2.25 million on the cap, is my boy Nate Schmidt, who's coming back this week. So he's coming back very, very soon. And 2.25. Now everyone's like, oh, well, fuck, he's going to be $5.95 million next year. It's like, yeah, that's next year. This is a guy that is going to be helpful for a team who only has a little bit of cap left, but they're going for it. He's a good player. He plays on their top pair. He logs 24 minutes of ice. He's a good player. And I beg anybody to tell me that he's not determined to come back and kick some fucking ass. Like, I know he's coming in 20 games in, but he has a fucking chip on his shoulder, and he's ready to prove it. So he's going to be somebody who I think is well worth it. Like, if you can get him in your leagues, pick this guy up. Grab him, trade for him. If like people are throwing me anchors, they're like, yeah, I'll give you a third for him. I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm not trading Nate Schmidt for a third. He's great. I'll just keep him on my team. I don't care. I'll keep going. I don't even have my first round pick. I'll just keep doing well with him. So that's the way that I look at it anyways. So if there are teams out there in our league that are listening to this shit, get your shit together and fucking come talk to me about Nate Schmidt and Mark Giordano. That's my 2 cents on that. I'm really hoping that some of the guys on my farm can step up and really take a role for me next year. So I'm going to go over a couple of prospects that I have, and this is my thought. So if you have any of these guys, or you have 2 cents on these players that I'm going to talk about, shoot me a tweet at Hockey Dummies and let me know what you think. But I have Jack Roslovic. Right now, he's playing 7 minutes of ice per night, which sucks because we have time of ice in our league, and that's a big no thank you. So basically, I just keep him on the bench. I don't even play him. I just stick him on my farm. He's under 100 games. That's the way that our farm works. If you're a skater and you've been draft eligible and you've played under 100 games, you can go up and down from the farm to the NHL. Roslovic just stays on my farm. I don't bring him up, but I think he's going to be a good player. So I'm hoping that next year he can slide into that top 9, maybe move up into getting that 12 to 15 minutes, and I honestly think that his ceiling can be a number 2 center, behind Scheifele. You put him on a line in a year or two with Line and Ehlers. That can be dynamite. Those guys are snipers, and they have wheels, and Roslovic has a good 2A game. Like, I think he can mature there, but I need him to take a step next year. He doesn't have to take his, where he's going to be, but I really need him to take that next step so I can actually feel comfortable with putting him in my lineup. Another guy that I have up on forward is Taylor Radish for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Checking out Dauber. Go to Dauber Prospects. My thing is I'll just go to in Google and just be like Taylor Radish Dauber, click, and I'm always going to Dauber to check to see what these guys have to say, because there's so many guys that are so close, right? And Dauber Prospects is a great website to check out to see, like, hey, these guys are close. Do you like this guy a little bit better? Do they like this guy? They'll give you projections on when they think that they're going to come into the league. And actually, their projection on Taylor Radish is that he might even come in this year, which is fine by me. I'm just hoping he doesn't play more than that, like, 15 to 18 games, so that I can keep him going up and down next year. But yeah, my hope is that, Taylor Radish can now come into the lineup next year and be on my team. And that's the whole thing about, drafting and, moving these guys like Giordano and Schmidt. If you know ahead of time, you can get some guys that really need these guys for their playoff push. You try to get these, fringe players that maybe they're not ready yet. They're not going to help this team win now, but maybe next year, the year after, they can come in. So been sitting on a couple of these guys, so I'm hoping that he can come in next year and really help me out. Another guy, a couple guys that I have on defense that I want to talk about is Joe Hicketts. He's come in for Detroit this year. He's played 8 games, and he's put up decent numbers in those 8 games. Like he played over 17 minutes of ice. He had 15 hits, 13 blocks. He was a -6 with no points, which is probably the reason why he got sent down. But fantasy-wise, other than like the -6, like his dirty stats were good, and his time of ice was decent too. It's just Detroit's a tire fire, and it's going to be hard for anybody to really produce and contribute there, especially if you're a rookie. But I'm really hoping that he stays under those like 18 games this year, like maybe gets called up for another 10, whatever. I don't need him this year. I need him next year, and I need him to produce next year. So Hicketts, if you're listening to this shit, go work out, get ready for next year, and come up and be a big stud for me. Another group of defensemen that I have actually is what I kind of feel is like that, 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9, 10 defense core in on the island. I have Sebastian Aho, the Bad Aho as we call him, Parker Wotherspoon, and Mitch Van de Sompel, ex-general, who I used to enjoy watching play. But I feel like one of these guys can come in and earn a spot next year. I'm hoping. Wotherspoon is currently kind of doing the best in Bridgeport out of all those 3. Like, they all look like they're doing pretty good. They each have their own kind of dynamic. But Wotherspoon, he's got 9 points, is a +3, 15 shots in 14 games. And of the 3, he's definitely got the best NHL frame. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Sound Tigers this year. Love that name too, the Sound Tigers, Bridgeport Sound Tigers. And last but not least, keeping an eye on my goaltending prospects. I picked up Igor Shishkorkin in a trade this year, prospect goalie for the Rangers. He's literally dominating the KHL right now with St. Pete's. He's played in 13 games, okay? He has 11 wins, a goals against average of 1.30, and a .946 save percentage, and he has 4 shutouts. Like, he's back on up. If you if you guys are in a league and this guy's not taken, peck him up, because there's a lot of talk that he's coming over next year. So he's my boy. I've been keeping an eye on him for a while, and I'm glad to actually have him in the fold, especially if my Tuukka Rask continues to take a mental dump and Jonathan Quick continues to get hurt. At least I have someone like this in the wings coming down for me. And for our goalies too, for prospects, if you've been draft eligible and you've played under 50 games, you can go up and down on the farm. So if Shesterkin comes over, I can keep him on the farm. He doesn't take up a roster spot for when he's not playing. So that's always good. So if some of those options pan out for me, I can move close to $13 million in Schmidt and Giordano. I'll be in a better spot for the 2019-2020 season, because this season seems like it's already kind of gone to shit. So, but I would love to get your thoughts on this. Like, I love just kind of talking this kind of shit. Like, I'll call Whale and Barons pretty much every day. I commute to work from Whitby to Toronto, so we're always, I need to do something to kill my time. If it's not podcasting, listening to Chicklets or 31 Thoughts, I'm calling the Baron or the Whale just to talk about our league or fantasy sports in general. So let me know what you guys think of any of these players, what you think I should do. I'm just a regular dude, just like you guys. Like, I'm just in a regular hockey pool, just like everybody else. I just like talking about it a lot, so it gives me me something fun to do and a nice little hobby. But let me know what you guys think on Twitter at Hockey Dummies. And if you have any questions about your team, let us know. You might want to use the hashtag TML so you don't get Pat's advice because we both monitor that account. So usually when there's like a dirtbag, shitbag comment, it's coming from him. And if it's something kind and lovely, it's coming from me. So actually, it's funny. Like Pat's and I were talking about potentially doing a bonus pod this week, and he said that he couldn't do it, and he said you should just do it. I said, yeah, okay. I'm like, if I can find the time, I'll do it. And he's like, no, wait. It's like you're gonna fucking trash talk me, and I'm not gonna be there to back myself up. I'm like, all right, I'm definitely doing it then. So here we are. This is what we're doing. Kick it over to what we have going on in our Twitter account this week. We've before when we got this pod going, we didn't really know what we were going to do, what we were going to bring in, what we were going to talk about, what you guys are going to want to hear from us. So, number one, like I said, shoot us a line on Twitter at Hockey Dummies and let us know what you're interested in, segments that you like, what you don't like. If you like Buzz Your Girlfriend, if you like Pick 'em Up, if you like us talking about prospects, if you want us to get a little bit more in depth with prospects, or just like our NHL headlines or Leaf talk, things that you like, things that you don't like, things that you might want us to talk, like anything like that. Just, shoot us a line. We're open, we're accessible, and, we're doing this for us as a hobby, but we're also doing it for the people that actually listen, and we want to make sure that you guys are getting the right kind of content that you like. So in terms of what's happening on our Twitter feed this week. Actually, this month, it's been pretty cool. We're in association with Starting Lineup Uniforms and Apparel. I met Mitch Scott actually through my college roommate. It's funny, like you just kind of meet people through your own like little networks, and you branch out. And my buddy Dave was telling me about his cousin Mitch, who's really into hockey and has all this stuff going on. Big into the ball hockey scene, like the world men's ball hockey team, and he's playing for Great Britain right now. And he was telling me about what he was doing with Movember, and Dave knows that we're big into supporting mental health. So we ended up chatting, and so yeah, it's been a good little partnership. They've come on and sponsored the pod for the month of November, which is incredible. And we've been trying to do the same by him and trying to promote and let everybody know. Like the jerseys are they're awesome. Like the quality of them are amazing. We got our jerseys in, like they're sick. I can't wait to end up sending it out to somebody. And my only thing is when we send it, whoever ends up winning this third extra jersey that we picked up, I just need you guys to send out a Twitter photo. Like put it on. Send a snap, tweet it out to us. That would be super cool to kind of see that. And just even like the little things, like I remember after the first episode, we had a guy from I think it was from Arkansas, tweet out and hashtag Scouts sucks or Scouts is shit. It was just like, that's fucking cool. That's pretty neat that we're traveling into all these like little places around the world. Like there's we have our analytics that come up and it says that we're getting hits in Australia now, New Zealand, Sweden, Egypt, Slovenia, the UK, all over the United States, and Canada is just blowing up. Canada is definitely our biggest supporter. So we thank you, we thank everybody for listening. But that's kind of what we've had going on with the Starting Lineup Uniforms and Apparel, and hopefully we can drive some more business to their site, and people can recognize that it's a good cause, and that this stuff is going towards the Movember Foundation to help people suffering with serious mental health issues. So that's who we want to help. So that's a good way of doing it. We're pushing people right now on our Twitter account to send us some fantasy questions for Chris Wassel this week. This guy lives and breathes fantasy hockey. So if you get us a question by Friday, November 16th, like end of day, I usually write my scripts for this Saturday morning. I have like my own like little routine now that we've started this podcast. It's like Saturday morning, I wake up, I have my cup of coffee, I throw the laptop open, I do all my research. Like I'm watching games for the week and stuff, and I'm always like keeping notes in my phone. But Saturday morning is like my time to shine, to really sit down and write out the script. And then what I'll end up doing is then I'll watch all the games on Saturday night, and then I'll fill that stuff in Sunday morning before I record the pod with Pat's. We're usually doing it over at his house, but I also have 4 kids, so I'm like getting kids to hockey, I'm getting kids to swimming, getting kids to dance, so I'm trying to do all the stuff in between then. But we're going to be we're starting to get some more guests on the show, and we have Chris Wassel from Dauber Hockey coming up for next episode. We're actually doing the interview with him on Sunday, and this guy is a fantasy hockey guru. So yeah, we're just trying to push people to ask questions. This way you can get some great feedback from Chris. And I'm sure you'll get some smart-ass comments from Pat and I. So that's basically what we have on the go there. We also have another interview coming up that I'm pretty excited about. We ended up meeting this gentleman by the name of Ricky Glore. He's a comedian, and Ricky and I, we got chatting on the social media, and he follows us on Twitter, and we've been following him, and he's down in the States, and we got just kind of messaging each other, and he wants to come on the pod. He's going to come on, and he said he knows nothing about hockey, absolutely nothing about hockey. And I was like, perfect. I'm like, maybe what we'll do is we'll do a little hockey Q&A. I say hooking, you say what? And he's like, fuck, that's brilliant. I love that. So I'm like, do you want me to send you a list of questions or anything? He's like, nope. He's like, don't send me anything. I love riffing. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be a really fun interview. We're actually banking a couple interviews. We're recording it on this Sunday, but it's not going to be until episode 10. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to have Ricky Glore on, and it should be a lot of fun. You know, just the way that Pats and I can chirp back and forth. You get another guy coming in who's a comedian. It should be a fun little segment. I know Pat's put up a couple of polls this week. I put up one too. The one that I put up was asking who do you think will have more assists this season, Mikko Rantanen or Mitch Marner? And Rantanen won by 72%. And I was just looking at the stats today, and Mitchie has 15 assists, Rantanen has 20, so he's currently winning this one. Patty put up, if you could add one former Leaf to this year's squad, who would you add? Wendell, Dougie, Boria, or Daryl Sittler? And Gilmore edged out Salming with 38% of the vote. My question is, where the fuck's Mats? Put Mats in there. We also had a poll where 75% of the people stated that if you're in the middle of a serious wipe, but there appears to be no end in sight, like you're wiping, and there's still stuff there. Like you could be wiping so many times, and it's still coming. When do you finish? When is your last wipe? And 75% of the people said you never stop, which is the correct answer. But we had one beauty that tweeted in and said 5 to 6. After 5 to 6 wipes, he's out. So good on you, pal. I like that one. We got a lot of support this week on Twitter too, from @Guffer99, Matt McGuffin, the interview that we had with the former Cornwall Royal and Niagara Thunder player in the OHL, from being on the pod. A lot of people really, really kind of connected with it. Matthew's a big advocate for mental health, and, just his knowledge of the game, being an ex-player and being a scout. It was a really, really fun interview. So I'm grateful to Matthew that he was able to come out. He came all the way in from Toronto, drove to my house like an hour away. We sat down, had a beer, and just kind of shot the shit, and it was pretty cool. So I can't say enough good things about Matthew for coming and doing that. We also had a lot of people tweet to us about @JoeBlow745. We got a lot of tweets about her nipples. So you can go back and find that. A lot of people want us to have her on the pod, talk about her weather predicting and potentially player predicting nipples. No dice. There was a hard no from her, and it's probably a good thing because the pod doesn't have an HR department, and it's probably for the best that she declined the offer. But again, it was just in good fun, so it was we didn't really want to do too much with her nipples. We'll just leave that to the imagination. And probably the best part of our socials lately was the back and forth that I had with fantasy hockey trades on Twitter. I'm a huge Billy Madison fan, and we had a pretty funny exchange going back and forth with different Billy Madison gifts. It made me laugh. Like, I was actually laughing when I got these things. So thank you, Daddy. I really appreciate that. I think that just about does it for this bonus pod. I appreciate for tuning in, or anybody that's listening here. We have some, like I said, we have some amazing guests coming up. Next episode, we'll be chatting with the fantasy doctor from Dauber Hockey, Chris Wassel. Check him out on Twitter at Chris Wassel DFS. We have Hockey Night in Canada producer, my boy, Sonny Thackle-Karen. Check him out on Twitter. He's a great follow, at SunnyBoyTV73. And like I said, we're going to be having a good interview with comedian Ricky Glore, and give him a little Hockey 101 lesson, which would be a lot of fun. And you can check him out on Twitter at Ricky Glore. Episode 9 will most likely be dropping on Monday, November 19th. But if I can get it out Sunday, I will. The Generals are playing, and they're hosting Akil Thomas and the Niagara Ice Dogs on Sunday night. So I'm actually really looking forward to watching Thomas play. He has a lot of family around here that I've met. Like, it's funny, like, there's a dog park that I take my dog to, and I run into, like, his aunt all the time, and she's one to definitely kind of talk your ear off and talk about Akil. So I'm really looking forward to watching him play. So I'm not going to be getting home till too late. So I don't know if I'm going to have time to cut it in time. So I might have to do that on Monday. But I will do my best to get it out on Sunday. And until next time, adios, muchachos.